and welcome to the Wildlife Encounter Show. How's everyone doing? Splendid! That's what I like to hear. My name is Josh, and I'll be your host for this show. You guys want to see some really cool animals?
Yeah!
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. You came to the right place. We've got some really interesting critters in our show. First things first, this is our animal critter, Jenny. Say hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
And behind Jenny is our first critter. This here is Toulouse. And Toulouse is a king vulture. Do you guys like vultures?
Yeah!
Vultures are very important to our environment. They eat all sorts of nasty stuff that other animals don't want to eat. He is pretty much nature's cleanup crew. This guy will eat all sorts of stuff that's left behind by other animals. It's usually called carrion. Carrion is not something that you bring on a plane, more or less. It's something that these guys find that's left behind by other things, any sorts of disease, bacteria, and especially other animals. This guy will fly down to that food and help himself to that snack. This guy here is called the king vulture for a couple of reasons. Not just that cool crown on the top of his head, but his eating habits. He can fly thousands of feet above the ground and only has to flap his wings once every 30 or 40 minutes. He's more of a glider than a flyer, even though he's throwing off some really cool flights here. What he's going to be doing is looking for his favorite foods and other animals that found his food for him, especially other vultures. So if he finds other vultures that found that food for him, he'll fly down to them, and the king gets what he wants. He pushes them all out of the way, and he helps himself. This guy's a very classy eater. He shoves his whole head into that mess of food. It's kind of gross, actually, but it's very efficient. That's why he's bald and beautiful. He has no feathers on top of his head because it's easier to clean skin than feathers. So he will go ahead and help himself to as much food as he can. He can eat up to 20% of his own body weight in one meal. That's rather impressive. I wish I could do that. If you look at the front of his chest there, he has that bare patch of skin. That is called his crop. It can expand and hold all sorts of food before it even gets to his digestive system. So he can eat all sorts of nasty stuff. Also, he has an incredible digestive system itself, so once he shoves his head into that mess and enjoys that food, he'll go ahead and sunbathe for a while. He'll go ahead and spread those wings and just absolutely absorb as much food from the sun as he can. And those cool colors come in handy. They actually attract UV radiation from the sun and cook off any unnecessary bacteria or disease. So that's actually a really cool cleaning mechanism that he has going for him. Now, as he's sunbathing, he's actually too heavy to fly, but he might get sick from those foods, right? Well, he has stomach acid that's more powerful than battery acid, so anything that ends up in that environment will be completely dissolved by his stomach acid. Any sorts of rotting flesh, meat, any sorts of bacteria or disease that can spread famine throughout the ecosystem is completely removed instead. Now, a little grosser, it comes to the other end as well. When he poos on the ground, it disinfects the ground itself where those rotting meats or whatever it may be has been sitting on. That's why his legs are also bare. He poops on those legs and he goes ahead and cleans off his legs as well. It sounds kind of gross, but it's an incredibly efficient system. So cool vultures. If you guys want to see more king vultures throughout our park, we actually have a couple of them around Dragon World if you want to check them out. They're mostly over by Dragon World. We also have the turkey vulture, which is the one species that we have native to the US. We also have the Andean condor. If you haven't seen one yet, they have about a 10-foot wingspan. They are absolutely gorgeous. They're on the back of what we like to call Condor Row. That's next to the tigers, so everybody loves tigers. If you're checking out the tigers over there, you'll see the Andean condor. They're also part of the vulture family, but they're not exactly vultures. There's a little bit of a difference there. Condors are also gliders themselves. They're all out of South America. Go check them out, say hi to them. They're super cool looking birds, especially the other king vultures. Now, when king vultures come out of an egg, they're so ugly, they're adorable. They are basically completely black and covered in white fluffy feathers, and they have that weird looking creep walk as they walk around. And then they fledge in with all black feathers so that they blend in with the rest of the vultures in their environment. Now, speaking of black and white, I have a very stinky cute critter coming out next. This here is a skunk. And she's not just any skunk, she's a baby skunk. Her name is Buffy. Technically, it's Buffy the Vampire Sprayer, but you know, there's a lot of jokes there to that. This girl here is absolutely adorable. She's a baby skunk. She's about 6.5 months old. Now, if you get a cute look at her face there, you can see it looks like a mustelid. It looks like any sort of badger, weasel, ferret kind of thing. She's got that interesting looking face. She is not a part of the mustelid family, though. They have scent glands on their body that is for nice and being stinky as, you know, sharing their scent with their environment, making sure that their favorite things smell just like them. She does not have those scent glands. Instead, she has a different gland. Everybody knows about the skunk spray. A skunk can spray accurately up to 20 feet away, right in your face. What that means is, don't bother a skunk kind of thing. This girl is descented, though. She was properly descented by any sort of medical procedure that is completely uninvasive. Basically, it takes about 5 to 10 seconds, and then she doesn't know anything happened. She doesn't have to wear the cone of shame or anything. She doesn't know she's descented. Now, the good old scent gland is an incredible defense mechanism. This is a nocturnal animal. That's why she's black and white, and so you can see her very easily in the middle of the night. It's a big warning of, you don't want to mess with me. Anything that's sprayed with a skunk is affected by all sorts of oils that sink right into your pores, and then you are stinky for at least a couple of weeks. That's a big telltale of I probably shouldn't eat you. Now, skunks are very friendly little critters. If you are ever out in the wild exploring and having a good old time and all of a sudden there's a skunk, they probably found you before you found them. So all you have to do is stand there and wait for them to leave. They're not going to spray you for no reason. It's only if they feel threatened. But if they do feel threatened, it's very impressive. What they do is they go ahead and make themselves really short. They stick up that tail like that, and then they make little stomps. They stomp on the ground. It's incredibly adorable when she does it when we're in the office. But you know what? If you don't know any better, it might be nice and spooky because that animal just got a lot bigger. Now, as you can see, she's very fluffy. So you go ahead and squish her side there. You'll see how much fur she actually has on her. Now, that fur is a defense mechanism because of some of her favorite snacks, and that is honeybees. What she will do is run up to the side of a honeycomb, start digging up that honeycomb and enjoying that honey, and a bunch of worker bees come out to stop her from what she's doing. And she will snack on those worker bees. Her fur is too fluffy for them to sting through it, and she helps herself to not only her favorite honey, but her favorite insects as well. Skunks are very important to our ecosystem because they eat some very dangerous bugs. That includes ticks and cockroaches. Ticks can carry something called Lyme's disease, which is dangerous to even humans. They come from deer, but they enjoy those snacks and they remove a good portion of them from their ecosystem. This girl is still in training. We recently got her in our department, but she's so friendly. We're very excited to take her to different outreaches, show her off in our shows, and show how cute she is and stuff like that. If you guys ever see any other skunks, now you know they're not actually scary. They don't run after you and try to spray you or anything. They're actually quite adorable like this girl here. But then we have Met Buffy. She's actually a brand new addition to our education department, and she's doing an amazing job. She's actually showing off a behavior known as healing, which we pretty much just started in this show here. She follows around her keeper because she knows that she's going to get some awesome snacks out of it. You'll see that in our education shows. All of our training is revolving around positive reinforcement. It's all sorts of training that is, if you do this, you'll get your favorite snacks out of it. It's never negative reinforcement. We never force them to do anything. Well, good job, Buffy. You did an awesome job. This is like her second show. Give this girl a round of applause. And we'll send her back home as well. We do have a pair of skunks out in Adventureland, but she's brand new in our education department. As you can see by that giant black and white differentiation, that is a really good addition to the whole nocturnal animal and the repertoire of what it means to be a nocturnal animal. If you ever see a porcupine, they're going to be black and white as well. That's because they're nocturnal. They don't mind if they're seen. Porcupines have tons of quills on their body. That means before you know it, you can see me already. This is a huge defense mechanism. You probably don't want to mess with me. Same thing with the skunk there. She can spray accurately up to 20 feet away. It's not something to be messed with. If you've ever had a dog in North America that all of a sudden smells rather stinky, they probably ran into a skunk especially. Skunks are very impressive animals. They're not part of the mustelid family. When mustelids include things like badgers, weasels, ferrets, all those critters, they are not in the same family, but their closest relative is called the stink badger, which does have a scent gland on the body that functions very similar to how the badger itself works. The next animal I have coming out is a different animal altogether. She comes out of Africa. She's a very cute, impressive little bird. Her name is Phineas, and we'll see if she wants to make a grand entrance out on stage here. Phineas is a very high-energy bird, so ladies and gentlemen, if she says hi to you out in the audience, please don't reach out to her. Just let her hang out. She's not going to do anything. She's actually super sweet. And here she is. You might have seen her beautiful wings when she flew down to stage here. This is a Turaco. But not just any Turaco. She is the white-cheeked Turaco. Thanks to those cute little white cheeks she's got there. Now when she does her flights, look at those amazing red feathers she has in her wings. Those red feathers have a pigment in them that make them red called terracin. And terracin is why the Turaco family have the name Turaco. Basically, terracin is a pigment only found in these birds on planet Earth. It comes into their feathers from the copper that they eat in their diet. If you look at her beak, it's not for pecking or cracking into nuts. It is eating fruit. And that's what I meant by she's going to say hi to the audience. It's a really cool interaction with the public as well. But just let her hang out. She's just going to check you guys out. Sometimes she lands on people because they have really colorful clothing. But she means well. This girl is actually a very social animal that looks for fruit. So as you can imagine, she's not quite a predator. She looks for any sorts of hanging fruits and trees. They're gregarious, which means they're social. They have 8 to 15 family members that are all hopping around in the jungle looking for their favorite fruits. Now back to that amazing red feather. Basically, it's for courtship to show off, hey, look, I'm nice and fancy. And also, it's for intimidation if you find a predator. If a predator finds this little bird, all of a sudden she's going to show off that red feather. Out in the animal kingdom, if you suddenly see a red, bright blue, bright green, bright yellow, it might mean I am venomous or poisonous. You do not want to mess with me. This cute little girl is neither venomous nor poisonous. It's more of a defense mechanism, because if you're a predator and you think about it twice for a few seconds and she has time to get away, it might save her life. So hang on to that for sure. Now when she makes these interesting flights, especially back into the bleachers, she loves these bleachers. We're not quite sure why. We think it might be an extension of her territory. But when she does these flights, you can see she has a short wingspan. She whips out her wings very quickly. That's because in the Congo jungle, you don't want to smash your wings into all the branches and trees and vines that are throughout the jungle. Also, if she's resting, you can only see that blue and green. So if you're a predator, you're not going to see that bright red as she's walking around. So this means she likes to hop more than she likes to fly. If you look at her legs there, she has a special foot formation. This lets her hop on all sorts of different, any sorts of branches and vines and different things throughout the jungle. So I actually need 2 adult volunteers to be trees up in my audience. Does anyone want to be a tree? You guys want to come up? Do it. It's really cool. Hi, Phineas. And there's 2. Come on down. So this is a cool behavior that we developed that actually requires volunteer members. You guys are going to be trees. You're going to stand between Jenny and I up on stage here. Face the audience looking that way. And we're going to put our arms up flat, just like this. And these are our tree branches. Hold still and she should do the rest. She knows exactly what we are asking of her. This is awesome training once again. That was really fast. Basically, she knows that if she hops on these branches, she can save her energy. So if she's out in the wild, she doesn't have to show off that bright red feather. And she hops, she's just zooming back to Jenny over there. But she basically hops through jungles to save energy. With that high sugar diet of eating all sorts of fruit out in the jungle, it's a lot easier to hop than it is to fly. Her foot formation is even built for this. She has 2 toes in the front and 2 toes in the back. But one of those toes can flip around in the front or back whenever she needs to, and it will actually help a lot when she's hopping through the jungle. She can hop on all sorts of different situations. We've seen her like bounce off my shoulder when she went to fly me and stuff. It's really cool. Alright, one more time because she's like absolutely wired right now. This is awesome. Good job, girl. Thank you guys so much for volunteering. And good job, Phineas. You are a superstar. Let's see if we can send her back home as well. Now you guys know about a Turako bird. There are actually 23 different species of Turakos. A couple of them are unfortunately endangered due to deforestation. But we are very proud to have her in our show because she's such a high energy animal. Whenever we have a free flight bird like Phineas here or, you know, our first animal, the king vulture, everybody's like, why doesn't he just take off on an adventure? Well, there's a couple reasons. First off, back to that positive reinforcement. Some of her favorite snacks are any sorts of fruits that have high sugars. What we are rewarding her with is actually a piece of Fruit Loop, a very tiny piece of Fruit Loop. It's covered in sugar, it has fiber that goes right through her system, so it doesn't harm her at all, but it tastes amazing, so she comes out, works for her food, she loves being out on stage, and she has a window flight where she recalls herself right back to her window. So we're very proud of that little bird. She's been on our shows for about 8 or 9 months. If you guys want to see more Turakos, we actually have quite a few of them around Dragon World, so if you want to see more king vultures and check them out over there, you'll see quite a few Turakos. We might be in Turako breeding season still, so that means that they come up to the side and show off those feathers and yell at you. It's a good thing. It means they're being territorial and you get a good look at those feathers as well. They come in all sorts of different colors, including purples, yellows, reds, blues, all sorts of cool stuff. And that's all thanks to that tourism pigment that makes them different colors. My next animal coming out is absolutely a crowd favorite, so lots of oohs and ahs. His name is Dale, and Dale is an Asian small clawed otter. I know, otters are awesome. Now back to the whole mustelid family thing, otters are a member of the mustelid family. So a very different, distant relative of our previous animal discussed there. Now you'll hear this guy make all sorts of noise up on stage. He's a very squeaky little critter. They're very social. They have the most vocalizations of any otter. They have over 16 different vocalizations and all of them mean something. Most of it is probably, can I have my snacks right now? These guys have a very high food drive. They eat all sorts of food throughout the day in the wild. They're mostly hunting for any sorts of freshwater stuff in a river, like fish, shrimp, and of course, any sorts of crustaceans. They love crustaceans. They're incredibly good hunters, and that's why this guy gets his diet whenever it's distributed to our shows. If we gave him all of his snacks in one sitting, we would have a very round, lazy otter. He has so much energy, you have no idea. This guy's very intelligent. We train him all sorts of awesome behaviors to make sure he gets out some of his infinite otter energy, and to make sure that he thinks any sorts of boredom is not good for these guys. So all these awesome behaviors are more important for him than anything. Now he's also the most on-land species of otter, so he has really good balance on land thanks to that tail, and his tail works as a rudder to steer himself in the water. He's in and out of the water all day long. His family will dig his home in the side of a riverbank, and that river is life. Basically, they're looking for food, playing with each other, grooming each other, wherever it may be to be an otter all day long. Even if it's sleeping in a giant otter pile, which is also filled is adorable. Now because this guy is so social, you can see by his interaction with Jenny and the sorts of behaviors that we ask of him, he doesn't mind meeting new people. I actually need an audience member once again. Does anyone want to volunteer? You're really quick, come on up. No, I was asking for her, but I guess you guys can both come up. It's okay, come on up. I don't want to be, spoil sport. You two can come on up the stage. You can come up too, buddy. Alright, 4. Okay, I'm gonna give him. I'm kidding. Come on up here. We're gonna stand in the line right behind you guys. Stand in the line behind me. Alright, and one by one we're gonna say hi to Dale. He can't exactly say hi, so what we're gonna do instead is you're gonna put your hand flat right here. So come up the stage. Walk right here, put your hand flat. And hold still. Oh, that was lame. Go ahead. There you go, buddy. That's much better. He gives out little otter high fives. This is a cool interaction that we introduced with Dale so that he could say hi to new people and actually make sure that he meets new people and meets the smells and stuff like that. And the better his high five, the more snacks he gets out of it, which is, he doesn't mind giving high fives to random people. Good job, and last but not least, see if we can get one of those. That's pretty good. Thank you so much, guys, for volunteering. You all just got to high five an otter. Awesome bragging rights right there, I know, right? No, but he doesn't mind high-fiving. As you can see, Jenny's asking to raise criteria. The better his high-five, the more snacks he gets out of it. One thing if you ask somebody to come up and pet an otter, the otter might not be okay with it. It might be overwhelming. Who are you kind of thing. Well, as you can see, we're an extension of Dale's family here. He's rather attached to Jenny up on stage here, quite literally. So any new people he meets is a new impression, new smells, new sorts of voices and stuff like that. Make sure that he's exposed to new stuff all the time. He never gets bored. So any sorts of interaction like this is really good for this little guy. I mean, he's rather adorable, right? Does anyone want to take him home? Be honest. I know usually everyone wants to take our otter home. I'm sorry, we're not quite auctioning Dale off. It's more important to let you know he's a member of the mustelid family, like I said at the beginning. This guy is in the same family as badgers, weasels, and ferrets. Do you think he smells good or bad? Rather stinky. I mean, if you smell your hands, you won't quite smell anything, but he has scent glands on his body. It's very important for communication. His favorite friends, his favorite family, his favorite environment, especially when it comes to territory. If you brought Dale home, the first thing he would do is rub himself on your entire house. It smells just like him. And that smells like 10 ferrets that are wet all the time. So I do not suggest it, but you are welcome to see our otters in our education show. We always use otters. He has Otter's best friend. He has his best friend backstage so that he's never lonely. And we also have 2 groups of small-clawed otters down at the aquarium. Now these guys are monogamous. That means once they find their significant otter, they stay together for life. It's rather adorable. And they have about 5 or 6 otter pups in just one litter, and up to 2 litters in a year. That's a lot of otters in that family. As long as mom and dad are in charge, there can be up to 20 otters in the same family, as long as they're all related by blood. The siblings will hang out for a couple of generations, raise the new otter pups, and make sure that they know what it means to be an otter, and then they will move out themselves. The cool part about otters, though, is that they actually teach each other what it means to be an otter pup, including the multiple generations of little guys. We'll send Dale back home, though. He did an awesome job. Now you guys have seen Dale the Asian small-clawed otter. Good job, buddy. We love our otters. They're super cool. It's awesome working with them. I just never take them home kind of thing. I don't want my house quite to smell like him. We get some really weird looks if we go anywhere after work and we still smell like 10 wet ferrets. But if you guys check out our aquarium, we also have 2 groups of small-clawed otters where both of our otters were born. If you've never seen an otter pup before, they're the cutest thing on planet Earth. They're about this big, they have a silver coat, a giant head, and their eyes are closed for the first few weeks of their life. But they don't know how to hold their breath or how to swim when they're first born. So mom and dad are in charge of teaching them how to do so in a rather, touchy way. They scoop up that little otter pup, bring him down to the water, and for the hold your breath lesson, they simply dunk him in and hold him there until they figure it out for themselves. I know we get a lot of concerned guests during otter season because Baba Otter is staring at people just dunking babies underwater repeatedly. They figure it out very quickly. Don't worry, they know what they're doing. Instinct kicks in and they remember it for the rest of their life. Swimming lessons are a lot easier to watch. They scoop up the pup, place him on their belly, and then paddle back and forth like an otter raft until they figure it out for themselves, hop in the water, and give it a try. Like I said, the multiple generations of otters that hang out will teach these otter lessons where it's like where to hunt, where to swim, this is where we sleep, this is your favorite spot, this is not your favorite spot, whatever it may mean. They are very intelligent and they use that social advantage to teach each other what it means to be an awesome little otter. So I encourage you guys to check out their enclosures. They always have lots of toys, which is called enrichment, any sorts of fun stuff. Basically, we can throw a chunk of driftwood in their enclosure and they'd absolutely love it immediately. Now, my grand finale I have coming out for you guys is an animal you probably have not seen around the park so far. I'm kidding, he is a parrot. But he's not just any parrot, this here is Malachi. Malachi is a green-winged macaw. The macaw family is impressive. They come out of South America and they have some of the largest parrots in the world. This guy is the 2nd largest flying species of parrot in the world. And he's rather big for a greenwing as well. If you check out the front of his face there, you'll see a massive beak. That beak is about 1/3 of his body weight. It is completely solid. That's why he has such long tail feathers, as if he didn't have those tail feathers, he would nosedive gracefully into the ground if he tried to fly. Now, the reason that beak is so solid is because it has to be a tool for him. It's one of the most powerful bite pressures on planet Earth. His beak can exert over 1,000 pounds of crushing power per square inch. That means in 1 little square inch, he can exert over half a ton of force. Please do not reach out to any parents that you see around the park to pet or grab them. Believe me, you do not want to be on the receiving end of that beak. Your human jaw has maybe 150 pounds of square pressure at most. This guy has one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom. He can get through metal if he really wanted to. But he really uses it for offense or defense. It's more important to get into his favorite foods. You might have seen him being handed that nut there. He got into it in a couple of seconds. They can get into all sorts of foods that other animals cannot get into in the animal kingdom. So he's got a very specialized diet thanks to that beak of his. It also works for climbing gear. It's pointy on the end to get through all sorts of tree branches, hook it into the side of tree bark, over a branch, whatever it may be. see, he can bite things with his beak and pull his feet up to it. His feet are very specialized. They're called a zygodactyl foot formation. The rest of the parrot family shares these feet. So if you walk around the park and you see those feet, you know it's a parrot, especially thanks to that hooked beak. So he can climb up and down trees. He can even flip himself upside down and pull himself right back up if need be. It helps him get to all sorts of different spots of his favorite trees. Now, parrots are incredibly intelligent. If you walk around the park and you hear parrots talk to you, you're not crazy. They have an incredible mimicry system. They can pick up awesome sounds and repeat them, especially if they like them. Malachi here was raised in a family of his own, so he picked up all sorts of people stuff thanks to his family as he was raised. He's a big sweetheart, so he learned all sorts of cool stuff. He had all sorts of interaction. First off, he's a very polite parrot. He will welcome your guest in at the door. Are you ready, buddy? So he will welcome your guest in by saying, "Come in," and then he will shake your guest's hand and he will say, very polite parrot. He'll say, "How do you do?" And then, well, actually, if he picks up on your guest not being wanted there, he can pretend to be a much scarier animal. Malachi, can you bark like a dog? I know, right? You get the hint, you run away terrified. No, I'm kidding. He's a big sweetheart. He even has a favorite children's game. Let's see if he wants to play. Where's Malachi? There he is. I know, he's quite adorable. If he's not getting enough attention, he will actually summon you over by saying, "Come here," and then you have to go hang out with him. I mean, come on, he's awesome. One of his favorite pastimes when you're hanging out is to watch fireworks. And if they're good fireworks, he goes, "Ooh, pretty impressive today. Good job, buddy." And now he's actually one of the parrots that, the only parrots that I know that has an inside voice. You have to listen very carefully for this one. Malachi, can you whisper? As quietly as possible. That's very polite, thank you, buddy. You did an amazing job. Thanks for showing off all your behaviors for us. Can you send us off with a giant kiss? Good boy, Malachi. Give this man a round of applause. Now that guy is about 21 years old. I know, right? Not many people understand how long parrots can live. He's still very young in his life. He will live between 50 and 75 years at least. So, if you guys did not know, people get these guys as pets very commonly, and they have the intelligence level of a 2-year-old human child on average. If you've ever had a toddler in your life, you might know how Malachi behaves. And he has a built-in nutcracker on the front of his face. A lot of people go out and they adopt these animals as pets, and they don't realize they just adopted a 2-year-old for the next 75 years of their life. So that means if you ever want a parrot in your life, do a lot of homework. They are actually a lifetime commitment. We love all the parrots that we have in our education department, but all of them were previously owned pets because people go out and they don't know what they just got themselves into. Unfortunately, about 75% of the parrots on exhibit were previously owned pets, but it's okay. They are perfectly taken care of. All their keepers make sure that they have all their needs, especially if they're paired up with their buddies. That means talk to our parrots. Say hello, goodbye, how are you? They might say something right back, even if they're being shy, or you're teaching them how to say new stuff. Or if you're unfortunate, after 10 minutes of trying, you'll walk away and they say goodbye as you're walking away. It's always entertaining. But guys, Malachi was my last animal. Thank you so much for coming to the Wildlife Encounter Show. If you have any questions, come on up and ask. We love questions. Also, we'll wildlife rules. Take care.